onslaughtradio.com. Backstage at Bloodstock.
This is Onslaught Radio. I'm Natalie and I'm backstage at Bloodstock where I'm talking to Steve from the band Power Quest. How's it going, Steve?
It's going great, thank you. Enjoying your weekend?
Yeah, it's been really good so far. Looking forward to 5:20 when you guys are on.
5:20 is the time, people. Sophie, Lancaster stage, Power Quest, catchy stadium rock in a tent.
Which is quite interesting because we went over and saw a couple of bands earlier, and I mean the Sophie Lancaster stage is quite a lot smaller than the main stage, but in most cases you have more people than you do on the main stage. Are you quite looking forward to being able to carry that on?
Well, I think the concept of the smaller stages, even though to be fair it's not that small a stage, I think the way they've located it as well, it's easy access. All people are milling around for food and catching up with mates and stuff, and if you crank out a song, people go, oh, what's that? That sounds interesting. I'll go and check that out. Whereas if you've got to hack all the way back, maybe, they perhaps might not do the same thing. But my experience with festivals is often that I've quite often seen the headline bands many times before. I want to see different stuff. You know, I want to check out the unsigned bands, for example. I want to see who the up-and-coming people. And to me, that's the heart of a festival like Bloodstock. You know, it's an opportunity to discover new things.
Because, I mean, for me, I came in 2008, and one of the main things I did was go around and see all the bands I hadn't seen before. And you discover all these bands that you've never really bothered listening to, and they're amazing. So,
well, that's the thing. I think the music press in the mainstream does have a tendency to focus on a very small percentage of bands. And you know, for example, if you see a Whitesnake interview in classic rock, you know they're going to be in Metal Hammer, you know they're going to be in whatever it is. I think, well, I don't want to buy 3 magazines and read the same flipping things all the time. You know, I like you say, I want to find out about people I don't know about. I can find out about people I do know about just by checking their website. I want to know about people I don't know. Have they got a website? Have they got a MySpace? Have they got songs on there I can listen to? Oh, they have. Oh, they've got an album. Oh, I might buy that because I like that song. And so on and so forth, you know. And I think I'm a big fan and believer and supporter of the whole underground mentality, you know. Have been when I was a kid, you know, in the 80s I was a tape trader, you know, got pre-internet, you know, it was the only way, so I'd be sending cassettes to South America, Sweden, and getting back all this weird stuff that I'd never heard of. But, you know, looking at it now, and I've got stuff that morphed into bands that we know as different bands, you know, it's very interesting. But yeah, underground metal, the thing's just, there's a soul to it that you can't define in words, really. You have to come to a place like this to fully experience it, I think.
And can you tell me a bit about your latest release? I believe it's Blood Alliance. Yeah, tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's been an interesting record in a lot of ways. Obviously, completely new lineup of the band now from the previous album. So that was the thing for me. Probably more for the other guys. It was the excitement of doing a record and being on a Power Quest album. For me, it was, is this record going to be as good as the previous ones? Firstly, and secondly, are the fans going to take to it as well as they took to the previous lineup from previous albums? So yeah, there's a lot of soul searching going on while we were going through the whole process. But all the things I did go through contributed to the themes that crop up in a lot of the songs on the Blood Alliance album. If you look at a song like Rising Anew, you know, it kind of says it all, really. Sacrifice, as well as elements of what's been happening to me. Blood Alliance is about the band, you know, it's a new alliance of people, you know, and it's a bizarre song in a sense, 9 minutes long, but I swear to God it's 5 minutes when we play it. It just flies by. It never seems like 9 minutes at all. And it's even some environmental stuff on there. A song called Survive, it's got heavy environmental lyrics. But I noticed with a lot of power metal fans particularly, they don't seem to listen to the lyrics very often, and I'm a wordy person. I like thinking about these kind of things, and it's quite funny really when you could just sing about beer and people wouldn't really mind. But I think I want the challenge of having to be articulate with a song, because you try and be articulate musically, so you want to have the marriage of both the words and the music, rather than, oh, I've got the music and it doesn't really matter what goes with it. To me it does, you know. It's an art form, putting the two things together. But no, I think to my mind, I think the new record is perhaps the most consistent record we've done so far. By that I really mean there's not a song on there that I wouldn't want to play live. I'd be, you know, if somebody says let's do Only in My Dreams, let's do City of Lies, fine, you know, absolutely fine. And I think that's something that will, as time rolls on, all those songs will appear in the set list at some point. Whereas perhaps in the past there would be one song on an album, for whatever reason it wouldn't ever get considered for being a live song. Works fine on a record, but live, I'm not so sure. But we took all this into account a bit more this time, I think. Thought we got a new beginning, we got a fresh canvas. Let's slightly reevaluate the way we're thinking about writing as well. Let's think about it not just for the record, but for the live arena as well.
There aren't many bands who do that, because you always come across an album or a couple of albums where there's one or two songs that are really good live and they're really good studio songs, and there's always a couple that are just, you can't do them live, it just doesn't work. Yeah. But no, it's good if you're happy to do them all, then that's generally a very good, consistent album.
Well, I think one thing as well is, with the technology available to people these days, it's very easy in a studio environment to build up a song to ridiculous proportions, have 120 tracks of orchestra and choir and all that. And that's all well and good, sounds amazing. But one of my bugbears is bands that use Pro Tools at live shows. You know, if I want to hear Pro Tools, I'll buy the flaming album and listen to it at home. I want to see you, if you've got choirs, I want to see you get a choir on stage and do it for real. You know, and as we were writing this album, we wanted to make sure that every song we could actually play every bit of it live. You know, that was the thing, and it's an integrity thing, I think. You know, the fans want to hear the songs, they don't want to hear some potted version of you half playing it and a computer playing the rest of it. You know, and I know it's the fad these days and the way that most of the big bands go, but to me that is about as far from metal as you could possibly get, to be honest.
And obviously you said you were a little bit worried about how the fans would sort of take to the album. Was it really well received?
Yeah, I think on the whole I'd say it's probably 80% of people went with it straight away, you know, enjoyed it. There were people who couldn't get it at all, you know, but also found that a lot of people who said no, that's not Power Quest, after a couple of months of listening to the record, they got into it. They got inside the album and could understand that, okay, it's a different voice, it's different musicians, but at the heart of it, the songwriting is very similar. It's just different production, different guitar tone, that kind of stuff. But it's good to evolve as well, you know, move on. You can't make the same album over and over again, even if people want you to, you know, because at the end of the day, you got to do it for you as well. You know, although I'm a big sort of preacher about how important fans are, and these kind of events are important to me because I don't watch bands, I meet people, I bump into people, I spend time with people, so I'm interested in what they say, and I try and take it on board to a certain extent with what we do as a band, you know, whether it's recording or touring.
And what have you guys got planned for the rest of this year?
Rest of the year, we've got some shows confirmed for late November, I think there's 3 UK dates confirmed for then. I believe there are a couple of tours in the pipeline where we've been put forward for support slots. Again, I think that's October, November, December, somewhere around about then. I can't say anything about them because I don't want to look stupid when it doesn't happen. and on top of that, we're already into writing the next album. You know, ideas are flying around. I tend to find when you finish, so we probably finished the writing for Blood Alliance, must have been July last year. And I always seem to have a 6-month drought where I just can't write for love nor money. So I've learnt now not even to bother trying. You know, you just leave it alone. And this year it's starting to slowly come round, and now there's 3 or 4 songs already there in some shape or form. Whether they make it to the record or not, I don't know. But the momentum's there, you know, the wheels are in motion. So, and yeah, next year I think it'll be getting these songs into shape, and any more touring opportunities that come up, that we can do a little bit more promotion for Blood Alliance while we're working on the new stuff as well.
And what would you say so far has been sort of a career highlight for you?
I consider myself quite lucky that, although we haven't been a commercially mega successful band, you know, we've done some pretty cool stuff, I think, over the years. To tour with Halloween was an awesome thing for me. I've been a fan since 1985, you know, and to eventually 20 years later get to, you know, share a stage with the guys was, it's a dream come true in a lot of ways. I know it's a cliche, but it's something you never thought would happen, you know. Another one was just a couple of weeks ago. We did a show with Crimson Glory in London. Another band I've been a fan of since I was a kid, but there's a funny little backstory to that. When we were playing in Belgium earlier in the year, John Drenning, the Crimson Glory guitar, actually turned up at our gig, and we're chatting to him after. He said, "Yeah, I heard you guys are opening for us in London, so I thought I'd come along and check you out in the flesh," kind of thing. So we ended up going out with him and his wife, to a club, spending hours out with them, and beautiful people, really, really not what you expect at all, and we're talking about maybe working together in the future as well, doing something else, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, Crimson Glory, Halloween, 3 weeks in Europe with Angra a couple of years ago was a hell of an experience, to be honest. It was a real eye-opener into what it's like being on the road. For us, normally we'll do a week, so to be out for 3 weeks, yeah, it can become challenging. It can become you're living on top of each other, how you're going to get on. But amazingly, with our guys, there wasn't even a row or an argument the whole time. We were sharing a bus with the Firewind guys, and we just got on really well. We had a day off in Spain, I think it was in Barcelona, and me and Gus G just thought, right, bollocks to this, we're going off for the day, you lot can do what you want. So we just went off, had dinner in a cafe, went walking around the town, did a bit of sightseeing, and came back to the bus, and we're like, oh, what have you been doing then? Oh, we've just been chilling out, having a drink. Like, you're in a beautiful city and you've done nothing, you muppets. So yeah, but I think even things like recording the first album, that's a highlight. It's something I wanted to do for so long, and each subsequent album is Blood Alliance is another highlight for me, given everything that kind of preempted it, if you like. So I'm lucky. I think that there haven't been many low points really, other than all the lineup changes. And I try and take the positives out of everything, really, if I'm honest. And I realise that it's a privilege in some ways to be able to do this kind of stuff. Okay, we all work normal jobs and all that, but still, plenty of other people would love to be in the position that we're in. And I always try and, keep that in the back of my mind, and I've got a passion for music like you wouldn't believe. And it's music, not commercial success. I don't really care if I have to work a day job for the rest of my life and still do music on the level we've got to. That's fine. I'd rather that than be in a situation where somebody else is calling the shots and making all the decisions for you, But I think as you get older in life as well, you get wiser to these things, and being a rock star isn't all it's cracked up to be, I think.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much for talking to Onslaught Radio.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.